Today, I want to talk to you about how you can get back onto an exercise routine after taking a long hiatus. Everything that I want to go over with you today is everything that I do to get myself back on track. And over the years, I've certainly had my own ebbs and flows as far as being consistent with my workouts and just having a plan in place. Back in January, I recently started to really dial my workout routine back in again. I kind of got thrown off in 2020 along with everyone else. Things changed and I just got to the point where I decided it was time to get back into it. So all this stuff is really fresh in my mind. It's stuff that I'm still continuing to work on a daily basis. So I completely understand the struggle, can totally relate. So if you're someone who's also struggling to get back on track, you're having a hard time finding the time or being consistent, maybe you're just struggling with the lack of energy and can't get yourself to start. Maybe you're also someone who's just starting an exercise routine for the first time. If any of that resonates with you, then this video is for you. So the first thing that I like to take a look at when I'm getting back on track in terms of an exercise routine is to have a plan in place. That's going to be like the foundation and the structure for what you're going to build everything else around. Have a general idea of how many days out of the week you want to work out, what you want each workout to consist of, and what you would like to do for each day. So if you're first starting out, maybe lifting weights 3 days a week and doing something active on the remaining days. I feel like that's a pretty good balance, especially if you are someone who has a hard time finding the time consistently. That'll give you a little bit more flexibility. And really, any good workout routine is going to require consistency over time. So you want to be able to have a plan in place that you can follow for a few weeks. I like to do relatively smaller chunks, about 6 to 8 weeks at a time for a good workout plan. And make sure that that plan is something that is realistic, it's achievable, but it's also something that you're going to be able to push yourself to achieve. You want it to actually be something that's going to challenge you. So if you are starting from ground zero, you're not working out at all right now, don't overbook yourself. When you set your sights too high, like say you're going from 0 days a week to all of a sudden you want to work out 6 days a week, it might be achievable in the short term, but things do come up. And so you want it to be, like I mentioned, something that's achievable, but you don't want it to be so far out there that when you aren't able to hit those numbers, it doesn't discourage you from moving forward. So again, when you're putting a plan in place, make sure it's feasible and make sure it's realistic with your schedule, but it's going to have you pushing yourself as well. So once you have that plan in place for what you want your workout routine to look like for the next 6 to 8 weeks, keep in mind that life is life. Things are going to come up. Your schedule is probably going to change from week to week, even if it's just a little bit. So at the beginning or end of each week, you can kind of plan out what you want the following week to look like. So I usually like to sit down on Sundays and plan out my week's workouts for that week, kind of keeping in mind any appointments that I have, what my work schedule is like. Also, if you are a lady, you want to kind of keep in mind what your hormonal fluctuations might be like. That also has a huge impact on your energy levels, on your motivation, on your mood, and honestly what your body can actually achieve that week. It does fluctuate throughout the month, so just keep all of those things in mind. And as you are planning out your week, keep in mind, especially if you are just starting out or getting right back into it, keep in mind that you are trying to build a new habit. And when you're trying to build a new habit, I've found, and if you've read Atomic Habits, it's probably a little bit more of a familiar idea to you, but when you're trying to build a new habit or work something new into your routine, it makes it a lot easier, it makes it a lot more feasible and less of something that causes resistance inside of you if you can nest it in with other parts of your routine. So say, for example, you are wanting to walk more. Maybe in the mornings after you have your coffee and before you start getting ready for work, you find those 20 minutes and you squish in that 20-minute walk right in between the two, and it makes it just a lot easier to get into a flow with things. So I want you to ask yourself, where in your schedule can you fit in a workout so that it starts to become part of your routine? So after you have your plan in place, the second thing that you need to focus on is to support yourself physically. Working out is going to require a lot of energy, and food is fuel. So you really want to make sure that you're fueling yourself properly as you start your workout routine. Make sure that you are eating food consistently, so consistent quantities, consistent times. Our bodies love consistency. Even if mentally we might have a hard time with it, our bodies do tend to thrive on it because the body knows what to expect. And so it makes it a lot easier, especially if you have very specific workout goals like losing fat or building muscle. Consistency is going to get you there so much faster than if you were all over the place. And the whole food aspect is also super important if you're someone who struggles with low energy and you're just having a hard time finding that fire to get yourself to work out. Make sure that you're eating properly. I personally work out early in the morning, so it's just too early for me to want to eat any kind of breakfast. But I have started making a little bit of a concoction with my morning coffee where I add collagen, I'll add grass-fed whole milk and raw honey. And so I don't have the numbers here right now, but it does give me a good amount of proteins, carbs, and fats that I can have before my workout. It's super easy to digest. And once I really started to focus on making sure I had a little bit more substance in the mornings before my workout, I did notice a huge difference in just being able to finish my workout, like having that drive and the motivation and the energy to push myself through my workout and actually make myself improve every single time. And I wasn't feeling burnt out or hungry by the end of the workout, I just felt better moving into the rest of my day like that. And also, along with the food, you also really want to prioritize your sleep. So sleep in terms of working out is going to be really good for muscle recovery. It's going to help improve your energy and it's going to give you more of a stable mood, which all of those are things that are going to help you stick to your new routine. So after you have a plan in place, you're prioritizing your fuel. Number 3, which I feel like honestly might be the biggest barrier when it comes to being consistent with your workouts, is overcoming all of the mental hurdles that come along with it. So here's some tough love that I'm going to share with you in terms of overcoming those mental hurdles, only because these are things that I keep in mind for myself and bring my attention back to these specific things whenever it is that I am having a hard time staying consistent, or whenever it is that I feel that resistance inside where I'm just like, I just really don't want to today. I know that you have probably been there yourself, and keeping these things in mind really does help. The first thing to keep in mind as far as those mental hurdles goes is that realize motivation will only take you so far. There are going to be plenty of days where you feel unmotivated and you just don't want to. And so whenever it is that I'm feeling that way, or in the days that you're feeling that way, you can ask yourself, are you willing to sacrifice your long-term goals for your short-term comfort? So are you going to be willing to give into that short-term comfort whenever it is that you're feeling unmotivated to work out? Or are you going to just keep on waiting until you feel motivated to get your workout in? So it really isn't the motivation that wins, it's the ability to stay consistent with the plan that you have in place, even on those days where you're not feeling motivated. Another thing that is super helpful to overcoming those mental hurdles is to connect with your why. And connect with your why over and over and over again. Ask yourself and keep in mind why it is that you want to be on a consistent workout routine in the first place. Is it the physical goals that you have? Is it more for your mental health? Is it to have longevity and good health over time as you age? Connecting with your why on a consistent basis is going to help you realize that that short-term comfort of skipping your workout really isn't going to be worth it in the long term. And it's also going to help you build consistency and discipline over time. The third thing that I use to keep myself on track mentally, and it's actually a question that I pose pretty often to clients who are asking me for advice on how it is that they can be consistent with specific healthcare goals that they have. Because you can truly find any number of reasons to justify why you haven't or why you can't. And that is to ask yourself, how serious are you about your goals? I like to ask myself this question because it makes me realize that I am truly the only person that is standing in my way when it comes to achieving any of the goals that I might have. And I notice a switch in people's faces when I ask them this question because it helps them realize the same. How serious are you about your goals? If it's something that you're super serious about, keep this question in mind and don't think about anything else. Don't think about the rest whenever it is that you feel that resistance coming up, because Connecting to this question will help you realize that, again, that short-term comfort is just really not worth sacrificing your goals in the long term. When all else fails, because even with the tough love and the planning and supporting yourself physically, you're also human, and there's going to be days where your body just really doesn't want to. It's asking you for rest, or like you just need the break mentally or emotionally because of other things that are going on in your life. And there are other things that you can do when you have to skip a workout that'll allow you to still remain consistent in some way. So if you're having a hard time finding the energy, or your body just needs to scale it back a little bit for whatever reason, one thing that you can do is to decrease the intensity of the workout that you have planned. So you can go for lighter weights, you can go for a long walk instead of an intense hike, you can go do some yoga, or maybe you can just do like a quick 30-minute cardio session to kind of get your blood and your sweat going. That will allow you to still do something that's within the realm of the workout that you had planned, but it's a little bit more in line with the energy that you actually have available to have a good, strong, healthy workout. Number 2, which I do with myself pretty regularly, is to negotiate with yourself. If you're having a hard time on a particular day, or you're going through a little bit of a season where you just really don't want to work out, what has helped me is that I tell myself that I am going to at least do the first 20 to 30 minutes of a workout, maybe even the first 10 to 20. And I challenge myself to just do something, anything that's going to allow me to feel satisfied, if that's all I can do, but that might actually open the door for me to be able to tap into more energy that'll actually help me get the workout in that I had planned in the first place. And honestly, when I implement this, it makes me realize that sometimes the hardest part is just getting started. Sometimes the hardest part is just getting yourself to put on your shoes and get out the door. And so once you're able to kind of like negotiate yourself and give yourself a little bit more wiggle room, it's actually a lot easier to get yourself started and to keep going when you actually do start. And then if you actually start your workout and you feel like, you know what, I just really can't today, hey, at least you did those 20 to 30 minutes. You did that 10 to 20 minute walk, and that's okay. You can keep going tomorrow. You can build up that consistency over time, and at least you did something that day to get your blood flowing and to help you meet some kind of workout for the day. Some kind of activity is better than no activity. And last thing to keep in mind when all else fails is to give yourself some grace. Take the rest if your body really does need it. It's totally okay to rest. It's okay to move things around if you're really just not feeling it on a particular day. If your body is craving a little bit more recovery, it's okay to take that too. At the end of the day, the most important thing is to listen to your body, to tune into what it is that your body needs from an energetic perspective, from a workout perspective. Maybe you just need to decompress for a day. Listening to your body is going to pay off in the long run. Working out shouldn't be a punishment. It's something that you should find enjoyable. You should find something that works for you, and it should really make you feel good in some way or another. So ultimately, being able to listen to your body is going to keep you from feeling burned out. It's going to keep you from getting injured, and it's what's going to allow you to be consistent over time beyond just the first 6 to 8 weeks of that new workout plan that you have set for yourself. And also, like, one thing to remember too, if you take nothing else away from the video besides this one thing, is usually it's just like the first few days, the first week maybe, where it takes really like a lot of effort for you to get back onto that routine. Once you have a little bit of a rhythm going, it's easier to keep going. You're gonna feel so good from being able to meet that first week's worth of workouts. It's going to motivate you to keep going, and it's just going to keep getting easier over time. So even if you have those first 6 to 8 weeks planned, don't think about it so much that it's like, gosh, I'm gonna have to do this for 6 to 8 weeks, or for however long it is that you set your workout plan for. Just remember, just focus one day at a time. Try to get that day's workouts in, that week's workouts. That first week is going to be the hardest. If you can just make it through that first week, you are golden. So that's it. That's all I have for now. If you found this video helpful, any of those particular tips resonate with you, please let me know in the comments below. As always, I am open to any kind of video suggestions that you guys might have, and I hope you guys all have a great rest of the week. I'll see you in the next one.